About a year ago, I started working on a massive data pack called Roguecraft with the ultimate goal of turning Minecraft into a roguelite. As a quick recap, a roguelite is a variation of the roguelike genre. In roguelikes, the game loop is separated into multiple runs, each of them randomly generated where if you die, you have to start again from scratch. Roguelites are a bit less strict about these rules, mostly allowing you to keep some of your progress. This might be in the form of unlocks or even permanent upgrades. For Roguecraft, I went with both, coming together in my magnum opus. But can I really call it that when it's not even close to perfection yet? Sure, people loved Roguecraft, but I knew that this data pack had near infinite untapped potential, so I decided to rework everything. There's new and updated mechanics, massively improved quality of life, new abilities, new upgrades, a new class, a fully overhauled stronghold, and of course, a new boss. This is Roguecraft Reborn. In the last update, I mostly focused on the hub area of Roguecraft, also known as the Cosmic Dome. This made the entire hub area a lot more interconnected, the actual shops a lot more organized. It added the Infinite Garden, a kind of side build area where you can make whatever you want using the materials you gathered during a run. And of course, whatever the hell this thing is. And while those were some great changes, they were mostly confined to the Cosmic Dome itself. Roguecraft Reborn is a lot different, the features are much more spread out over the entire game. And while sure, there might be a couple of changes here and there, for most of these I guess we just have to start our first run. If you haven't seen any of this data pack before, don't worry, I'll explain things as we go along. But with that, let's just begin. Now you might notice a few differences compared to vanilla. First of all, we start with an unbreakable stone pickaxe. This is a necessity, as it is impossible to craft most weapons, tools, and armor. On top of that, we only have 5 hearts. With those two limitations, we're definitely not in a great spot. To improve these, we'll have to buy the respective upgrades in the Cosmic Dome, and for that, we need skill points. Now, skill points can be obtained in a bunch of different ways, such as gaining advancements. As you can see, that advancement just gave us 1 skill point, although the main way of getting these is by crafting them. Now in previous updates, these were the only recipes. This item in the middle is a skill gem, which you can obtain by increasing your XP level. But all of the other materials were obtained from mining. This created a huge problem where it was just optimal to go mining, and then upgrade your mining and then go mining again, and so on. This, I would say, is by far the biggest flaw of old Roguecraft, and I have solved it. If we go over here and kill some mobs, you'll notice that these drop a new kind of item. This right here is mob essence. This is a new kind of material that is dropped by every single mob in the game. Now the harder the mob is to kill, the better the mob essence will be. So by killing farm animals, you'll just get lower and common mob essence. But if you manage to kill something like a warden, you'll instead get higher and ascendant mob essence. And using the same template I showed earlier, we can now make skill points using mob essence. Of course, there's now a lot more ways to get skill points. For example, you can find them in loot chests, through archaeology, bartering, fishing, even in trial chambers. Now after you die and the run ends, you get sent back to the Cosmic Dome. And that's where you can actually spend your skill points on permanent upgrades, abilities, which are kind of the magic system in this data pack, and even classes. Basically, you want to get as many of these as possible. But also a lot of those upgrades are locked behind progress, meaning you will have to defeat some of the bosses. So that should be our first goal, but not in this run. We need to stack up a little bit. Oh, and the difficulty level is up to 3 now. Basically, we gotta move fast. Oh, look at that, we found a scroll. I mentioned abilities a second ago. Abilities are active spells that allow you to do all kinds of things. Now if you played Roguecraft before, you might know Explosion as one of those abilities. Usually abilities cost mana, but for the scrolls, that's not the case. Now scrolls, you can find them randomly in loot chests, and they act as single-use abilities. At that point, you can stock up on a lot of these and spam them whenever you need to. Or if you haven't played this data pack before, you can try out a lot of the different abilities without having to buy them. Oh, you can see the difficulty level pretty clearly now. And unfortunately, that's not the end of it. You're not the only one who can use scrolls. At higher difficulties, zombies will also be able to spawn in with scrolls. And that's it. Now we did get 11 skill points, so we can at least buy some of the upgrades. Being slightly stronger than before, let's go for round 2. Now that we bought those upgrades, our equipment is already a lot better. And this will make it a lot easier to get skill points from now on. Rune portal, let's see. Alright, ready to see some magic? Let's take this golden shovel, and boom! Our shovel now has efficiency 2. These are mid-run upgrades, a massive new feature. Previously, whenever you found equipment in chests, it was just kind of awkward. You had to decide between that equipment and your own unbreakable equipment, and since you can't craft tools, that just kind of left you in an awkward spot. I changed it so if any of the equipment you find is better than your current equipment, it will be instantly applied, becoming unbreakable and even keeping all the enchantments you had. So if you ever get some really good equipment mid-run, make sure to make that run count. Now this equipment we found was decent best, so let's not worry about it too much. I'm more interested in that pillager outpost. And there we go, that's a ton of mob essence. Let's make some more skill points. And I think at this point you have a pretty good grasp of the game. You get skill points to become stronger, and you become stronger to get skill points, eventually becoming strong enough to take on one of the bosses. And as it turns out, the new boss I added in Roguecraft Reborn also just so happens to be the very first one in progression. So let's just go ahead and get the skill points needed to take it on. Oh, very nice. Enchanted books are special for mid-run upgrades. Instead of enchanting a specific or random piece, they enchant every single piece of equipment that enchantment works on. So for example, if you get efficiency, that will upgrade every single tool. Or if you get sharpness, that will upgrade your sword and axe. That way enchanted books still very much have a purpose. Next up though, let's try and get to the nether. Alright, here we go. We don't need an iron pickaxe to mine the gold here, and that way we can craft some higher tier skill points. Also, while these hoglins are absolutely terrifying, they do give us some really good mob essence. There we go. Oh, there's another fortress. You're crazy if you think I'm going near any of those. That being said, it might be worth exploring this bastion. Well, who could have seen that one coming? Going into a bastion is in fact a bad idea. Well, 48 skill points should be more than enough to take on our first boss. Let's get ourselves a lodestone compass. This is a very special item that will lead us directly to where we need to go, and it has been slightly changed in this. And let's get parry as our first ability. And with that, let's go. Alright, let's take this compass. This will point us towards a pillager outpost. You may also notice that now that we have our first ability, this mana bar shows up at the top. Now the mana cost of each ability is displayed in the book, and this is basically just the resource required for us to use abilities. Then once we use up some mana, it will slowly fill up again. Oh, there you are. Give me your ominous bottle. So, now that we obtained this, our compass will instead point us towards a village. And it looks like this one right over there. Oh! Well, would you look at that, a blue moon. It's a random event that greatly increases your magic abilities. So for starters, you'll notice that our mana regenerates a lot faster than usual. Also, all the abilities are way stronger during this time. Our parry, for example, would deal significantly more damage. Unfortunately, as we've seen earlier, we're not the only ones who can use magic. For this night, zombies will be significantly stronger. Oh, that's shock bolt, that shock bolt. We'll talk about that ability in a second, that's one of the new ones. Alright, the blue moon is pretty nice, but let's just sleep it away. After all, why would the compass lead us to a village right after getting an ominous bottle? Well, there's only one thing to do here. The time has come to unleash the true might of the Illager army. Attack! Alright, so already you can notice that this raid is a good bit different from the usual ones. That being said, the goal is still the same. First wave down, let's go on to the second one. Alright then, here goes. Now since this is the first boss in progression, these do have a lot less health. There we go. Still, that doesn't make them a pushover in the slightest. Alright, on to the final wave. Okay, how do we get to this guy? Could try something like this. There we go. Even the evokers? Well, we still have an ace up our sleeves. Demolish them, arcane colossus. Here we go, this is the Giant, the new boss of Roguecraft Reborn. Now as you might be able to tell, this guy's whole gimmick is that he can use all of the abilities in the game. And this of course gets a lot worse when you consider that there's a blue moon right now. Oh god! Oh my god, we got annihilated. Okay, before we do anything else, let's deal with these zombies first. Alright, let's go in for the first attacks. Oh no. We gotta find a way to outpace this healing. Making some good progress though. Oh god. That being said, now that this guy is below 50% health, he's going to be able to spawn in reinforcements. Oh, there they are. There they are. Okay, just clear all of your minions out. That's fine by me. Making good progress. Oh no, Pole Sphere, Pole Sphere. Just a few more hits. Oh, it's spawning reinforcements again. Okay, let's go in for the final hit. There we go. And that was the giant. Now, as a reward, we gain a ton of mob essence. But of course, that's not our only reward. So let's try and get some more skill points and return to the Cosmic Dome. Now that we have an iron pickaxe, we could go for some of the high tier skill points. And there we go, that's 20 extra skill points. Oh no, this guy has a parry book. On higher difficulties, zombies will have books instead of scrolls. And that means that they can use abilities over and over again. Oh no! I think this might be the end. Yeah, there it is. But it's fine, we got a grand total of 90 skill points. And on top of that, we got this message: you unlock new upgrades by defeating a boss. So now, if we walk around the shop area, we can see all of these locks loosening. These locks basically indicate the max level you can upgrade each of these to. And the way to get rid of these locks is by defeating bosses. That way, boss progression and upgrade progression is directly connected. And we have just unlocked this, the Hunter class. Now, every single one of these classes gets a passive benefit, as well as some class abilities. And we'll check that out in just a moment, but before we do, let's get this as well. This is Copy, one of the new abilities. And on top of that, let's also get Shockbolt, yet again one of the new abilities. Now, so far we have defeated the giant. In total, there's currently 3 bosses in Roguecraft, meaning there's 2 more to go. However, I'm more interested in what comes right before the Ender Dragon. As I mentioned in the intro, the stronghold has been fully revamped, changing not only the structure itself, but the way you progress through it. However, we're just a little bit underpowered right now to take on the Ender Dragon. So let's do one more run to take a look at our new abilities. So, the Hunter class. One of the first things you might notice is that we don't start with a sword, but instead a knife. You know, for stabbing people. Now the knife, as you would imagine, has some decreased reach, meaning you have to get right up to the enemy, but it does attack a lot faster and stronger. Now that being said, the decreased reach is definitely a big deal. This class definitely rewards keeping your distance. And that only truly comes into play with the class abilities. Now first up we have Call of the Wild, which does a whole lot of things. One of the simpler ones is that when you get close to wolves, you can instantly tame them. And look at those particles, they even gain some temporary buffs. And those can of course be reapplied by using Call of the Wild again. And this works on loads of different mobs. So we can just kill the Iron Golem without having to deal with it attacking us. Also, I'm pretty sure we just accidentally tamed this horse. This is now mine. So one way you could play this class is by taming some wolves, and then use a crossbow to get them to attack whatever you want. Now in the previous versions, that would have been it. However, one of the new features in 1.3 is that you can switch your class abilities. Yes, each class now has multiple class abilities, which means that the number of class abilities has gone up from 4 to 14. That being said, these other 3 abilities are all very similar. So first of all, let's place down a Venom Trap. If a mob steps into one of these, they will take heavy damage, as well as some pretty significant debuffs. That being said, you do need to be careful not to step into one of these yourself. But let's say you were to do just that, and you lose a bunch of health. Well, maybe consider placing down a Leech Trap to heal yourself. However, as your melee attacks get stronger and stronger, you might want to deal some of that damage yourself. After all, at some point it's inevitable that you yourself get stronger than your abilities. Well, maybe consider placing down one of these to stun them for a little bit, allowing you to deal some massive damage. This can be incredibly strong against tankier enemies. And that's the Hunter class. In a way, it's a weird mix between a summoner, utility, and ranged class, but I do think it's incredibly fun to use, especially with the traps and multiplayer. But that's not all the new stuff. Let's take a look at Shockbolt. Now Shockbolt is a very simple offensive ability, allowing you to do something like this. And this by itself is incredibly fun, especially if you can line up multiple mobs. Now if you manage to get Shockbolt up to a higher level, it will start splitting. At this point this becomes one of the best abilities for crowd control. There's also a few interactions, like dealing more damage underwater, but I'll leave it to you to discover those. And that just leaves us with Copy. And this, in my opinion, has to be by far the most fun ability now. But to properly test this, we need some scrolls. And what better way to get scrolls but from a trial chamber? Now trial chambers are great, but they are very difficult to find. And especially in something like Roguecraft, where the gameplay is very fast, you probably don't want to spend forever trading for a map. So instead, I just decided to make these really easy to find. This will lead us directly to a trial chamber, so let's go. And we already got some scrolls, very nice. Oh nice, smite too. So we've now got levitate, explosion and shock bolt. These are incredibly useful abilities, so what if you want to use them repeatedly? Well, you can't because they're scrolls, right? Those are single use. Well, copy is the exception here. If you use this while holding a scroll in your offhand, copy will become that ability, allowing us to use levitate again and again. Eventually, you might want to use explosion instead, and for that, it's the same method, just override levitate. This is not only an incredibly useful ability, it also makes scrolls themselves a lot more valuable in the endgame. Now I did already get a trial key, so we could use it here. Ominous bottle, skill point, lots of good stuff. But enough of that, let's try and clear out this trial chamber. And there's our key. Alright, come on then. Now, the breezes are great, they give a ton of mob essence. So I guess let's make our first skill points. Oh, multi-heal, that's good. That's one of the healer's new class abilities, and despite what the name says, it is actually still quite good in single player. Oh, you love to see it. Well, looks like that mob soul has been exhausted. This is something that happens once you kill a lot of the specific mob, and once their soul becomes exhausted, they'll only drop some of the lower quality mob essence. So trying to game the system with a mob farm will be very, very difficult. I mean, skill points are skill points. There we go. Round 2 it is then. Oh, already we're much more powerful. There we go. Just take the mob essence and run. Alright, we got 88 skill points, that's more than enough for now. If you want to quickly end a run, you can just type in /trigger restart run. That was a very successful run right there. Now, one last run for the stronghold and those last 2 bosses. Anyways, to beat Minecraft, we obviously first need to go to the Nether, and in Roguecraft that has not changed. Oh my, what a cave. Oh, look at that, we even got an ancient city. We might be able to get some pretty good equipment here. So we got fire protection 4, swift sneak, fire aspect, protection 4, multi-shot. That's pretty good. That being said, I don't want to stay here for too long, but I do feel like I'm forgetting about something. It's probably nothing. Now then, let's use our compass to try and find a fortress. Oh, wait. That's an easy way to get 8 skill points. Okay, there's the blaze spawner. Let's go in. This is the wildfire, the hovering inferno. Now we can try to set its shields on fire, but unfortunately that doesn't do much. If you know anything of the Minecraft mob vote, you might remember this guy from the very first one. Back then, it unfortunately lost to the Phantom, but I decided to bring it back into Roguecraft as a boss. And wow, we're dealing a lot of damage. Just gotta punch these back. We can hide behind one of these and finish it off. There we go. Now then, a stronghold has generated at the run spawn. That means just one thing. Let's go back to where it all began. And from here on out, let's just go straight down. And here we are. Now already this is looking a lot different. Try as we might, we're not able to put the eyes in just yet. But there are these lines coming in from all directions, so let's check that out. At this point you have to decide which room you want to clear. And I am going to go for this room, and already a lot of mobs are spawning in. Whenever we kill one of these, their souls converge into this one point. And once these are all down, this will happen. The fire's gone, and there's only 3 lines left. The stronghold is essentially separated into 4 quadrants, each of them requiring us to beat one of the rooms. That does not mean that the other one will be safe, though. Also important to note that there are a ton of secret chests hidden everywhere, including this little area. Wait, what is this about again? Now if you don't want to go back to the center, you can also just take the quick route. That being said, I definitely don't want to do this room. This one is hell. Although it is pretty small, we might just be able to clear it out instantly. Alright, that's another one. That means that we could just ignore this room, and we will. Oh, this is a fantastic room to get. Oh, a bunch of zombies using spells though. And that's another one cleared. This one has a ton of food for us to use during the Ender Dragon fight. Even an enchanted golden apple, wow. This right here is another easy room to clear out. Unfortunately, those rooms don't usually have the best loot. And with that, that's all of them cleared. Let's take another look at the end portal now. And the gateway has been opened. Let's simply fill in the eyes and open it like usual. And finally, let's finish this off. The Ender Dragon, Tyrant of the End. Oh, and it's starting strong. If you haven't seen this fight before, you're in for a treat. As per usual, we first need to shoot down these towers. Oh no, it's already perching. We're not quite done yet. Yeah, our decreased reach is quite detrimental here. Let's just slowly chip away at its health. Oh, careful, meteors! Okay, first phase down. Now, as you can see, all of the towers have regenerated. Some of them even having cages around them. And on top of that, the Ender Dragon just gained a whole lot of new attacks. And that's it. Oh no, run. If you ever see this thing, just run. We're in the clear. Oh, we can actually stab it from here. That's good. Now that we have Shockbolt level 2, it does also home in, which works incredibly well with the shulker bullets. Perfect. Slowly but surely, there we go. That's phase 2 down. But now we have a different problem. I did pick up this earlier. This is Vengeful Spectre, one of the Reaper's class abilities. And this might be able to help us out just a little bit. So our next goal is to clear out all of these waves. And this one is especially bad on high difficulty. It's not the only one that's a problem though. Although I do have an idea here. We can just line them up and then shoot them down all at once. They don't really do much else, so we should be good here. We are running a bit low on golden apples though, and that may be a problem with these upcoming waves. Now I'm not too scared of these, we did beat these before. Alright, that's most of them down. Unfortunately, it doesn't really get much easier. Now remember what I told you earlier, Stun Trap is really good at dealing with tanky enemies. Come on. Just stun it and there we go. Clean kill. Alright, now it's just the Wither left. Okay, here goes. That's phase 1. Just one hit at a time, there we go. Alright, the Ender Dragon is back for the grand finale. There's no more towers to clear or anything like that. From here on out, we just need to take it down. It is still spawning in end crystals though, so we need to keep an eye on that. Alright, that's one phase down. However, as we go through the final phases, it will just start attacking faster and faster. Okay, this is it, final phase. This is it, this is the end for you. One last hit! And there we go. The Ender Dragon has been defeated. Right then, let's destroy the egg. We are done. And there you have it. That is Roguecraft Reborn. Well, kind of. There is a ton of stuff I couldn't show off in this video. There are tons of new class abilities. Even the regular abilities have all been reworked to some extent. There are some new upgrades that can bring you to new heights. And even pre-existing upgrades can be upgraded even further. Not to mention the dozens upon dozens of quality of life changes. This hasn't just been an update, this has been a complete rework, improving every single facet of this datapack. And if you're done with the base game, there's still tons to do. There's tons of advancements to complete, even built-in speedrunning timers. Hell, maybe you want to build something in the Infinite Garden. Ultimately, it's up to you. Now I'm very excited to say that Roguecraft Reborn, the 1.3 update, is out now. You can find a link to the data and resource pack in the description. And once again, thanks to you guys for all the support. A ton of the ideas in this update came from you. I added some of the fan art that's been made as paintings. The Infinite Garden has a new song, not made by me, but by Leon JD instead. But all of that being said, we are far from done. Each and every single one of these obelisks marks one boss that is going to be added to Roguecraft. We still have a long way to go, and I couldn't be more excited. And this right here will be where our journey continues. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.